All right, let's knock out a few of the things I've been watching and catching up on. I'll do a few posts on this real quick. First and foremost, let's do season 2 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, as I've been doing the rewatch. Technically a first watch for me, but obviously a rewatch for a lot of people if they're trying to get ready for the new season, the new content that's coming out sometime next year. My guess would be probably around the summer of next year. But first and foremost, let me just say this is when Buffy levels up quite a bit in this one. I think the show just gets a lot better in this second season. They make some really good decisions. And the things that really make this show start to stand out, the actors are much more comfortable with their characters. And I was very, very glad to see that they kind of figured some of these relationships out. They figured out some of how these characters are supposed to work and how they're supposed to interact with each other quite a bit. The cast is great. We've got some really good performances, obviously from Sarah Michelle Gellar. She's fantastic. Now, the first episode of season 2 is not very good, but the rest of it is really, really solid. It's not my favorite season that I've watched so far, and I've watched the first 4 seasons, but it's still really, really good. The people that stood out the most to me in this are obviously somebody I think that they decided to bring on after the fact. That's James Marsters, who plays Spike. Just fantastic. He's kind of the big bad. At least he's the fake out big bad of this season, because he starts off being the guy that is putting everything into motion. And then about halfway through this thing, they end up turning Angel into the big bad, which is the thing that everyone in the show was scared of. Everybody was afraid that he might eventually become evil. And he eventually does in this one. And it's just great that in this late 90s television show, that was the primary audience would have been teenagers, to make the thing that turns Angel into, makes him lose his soul, is the fact that he ends up having sex with Buffy. That any guy in around the age of 20 back during the late 90s, when this was actually taking place, was like, yeah, worth it. So worth it. Like I said, just absolutely perfect that's what they decided to turn him into a bad guy and lose his soul. All that just worked really well. He's really good David Boreanaz is really good in both his roles as the brooding, tortured boyfriend, and as the bad guy for the entire thing. So, like I said, a lot of this works. There's a lot of things I could get into. Obviously, I don't want to get into too much on it on TikTok. But yeah, Buffy Season 2, really good stuff. And we'll talk more about it in our next video.